Hey everybody, we're going to be working on making a quiz game in order to explore concepts like variables and if statements and Boolean logic, all very important concepts in computer programming. So here's our quiz game. I'm going to play it. You'll see this little character on a stage. They're going to ask you your name, and look at this. It comes up a little screen. It's kind of like Netflix, and I'm going to call myself Amy because it's really easy to type. Hey, and welcome to the game, Amy. That's going to be another thing we're going to be talking about, kinds of data, text versus numbers. And we'll be able to splice text together, see how the name has been put into this sentence. So that's another thing to master in this project. We're going to ask a question, and then this second part is not just asking the question, but then finding out if you got it right or wrong. And so here I got, the meaning of life is 42, and I got it right. You can see I got an extra point here, and the character, gushed hearts from their chest. I hope that wasn't like a death animation, but that's what happened. But if we did this again, and I got it wrong, you'll see there's something else that happened. So again, we'll be Amy, just to sort of get through. And if I put in YZ01, like whatever nonsense, it's like, oh, and maybe you can't hear the sound. Oh, I don't know. I guess maybe I disabled the sound because it was annoying. But it plays a song and it says that's not right. And look, I didn't get a point. So there was some sort of ability there for the program to make a decision based on your input, which is kind of really important for computer programming. Okay, so let's take a look at how this works. All right, folks, here we are inside of our program, and this is just the very beginning. I think most of this will be like pretty familiar to everybody. If you've been paying attention to the course, you'll know all these blocks. We're making a sprite, we're setting its position, we're setting the backdrop, we're making it say some things. So now let's actually get it to ask a question. There's two things you need to ask a question. First of all, from the game toolbar, you can find this ask for string or ask for number. Kind of depends on what do you want. Do you want a numerical answer? Then the number just restricts you to typing in numbers, whereas the string lets you type in letters and numbers. So I want to ask for a name. I need the string, unless my name is some kind of Star Wars droid name. But even then, you still need letters. So let's go for a string. But that's not all. Like, you can't just stick that in as a block. This is a value block, right? It's not a standard block. So you need to plug it in to something. And what we'll do is go to variables, and we will use our set block. You've actually used this before when you're making a sprite, and technically that is a variable that you are, putting the sprite inside of. So this variable is going to hold like a name, and I've actually made a variable for that already, I think. But let's see, do we have that? There it is, name. So what I can do is I can say ask for string, and then I can say, what is your name? And that is now going to be the block that when the program gets to this, after we start with an easy one, wait half a second, then this block here brings up that black kind of Netflix like enter the word with your remote control kind of interface. But the answer is going to be stored inside of the name block. So that's going to be really fantastic. So then I'd like to keep on talking. So let's pull that up together. Let's take a look at what that would look like. All right, take a look at this. This is the block here. It's just a show long text, but I wanted to include the name inside of a sentence. And so check out what I have. I've taken a value block that I got from variables, and I used a join block. That's way down here under advanced and text. There's a join block here. You can keep pressing the plus sign to get more places to put things. But this allows me to insert whatever it is the person typed in, whatever their name is, like Amy, that gets stored inside of this variable. So when this gets printed out, it'll say, welcome to the game, comma, and then instead of name, it'll be whatever word was stored inside of it, followed by an exclamation mark. So there you go. So you can use the input inside of your responses and your dialogue to make this a little more realistic. Okay, so what about evaluating where something is true or false? Let's take a look at that. Hey, magic, I have placed in this next question, right? What is the meaning of life? See how I'm doing this again? Same idea, but notice that I am making a new variable. Here's answer 1. I don't actually like that variable. Meaning of life is a great variable. name really explains what this contains, right? So it'll bring up another one of those screens for me to interact with. And once I have that, now I need to make if statement, it's called, to evaluate the answer. Like the answer for this is 42, and that's a long-running joke from Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And if you don't get it, then go read that book. But that's the right answer either way. So let's see how we can make that evaluated. I'm going to go get an if statement. If statements are inside of logic. And you can see there's different kinds. If I get even like a plain old if statement, I can press that plus button to get like an else. And I can actually get a whole bunch of elses in here. But the idea is, what I want to do is I want to ask a question. That's what if blocks do. It lets you ask a question. And if the answer to that question is true, then it will do this code in this part of the container. And if it's false, then it will do this code in the container. What I think people find confusing is it already says true there. So that's kind of boring. I want to ask a question. So that's also in logic. If you take a look inside of here, we have all these like comparisons and stuff. There's ones for comparing numbers, and there's ones for, ooh, I lost it. There's ones for comparing numbers, and there's ones for comparing strings. And our text that we took in was a string, if you recall. So let's use that. So what I can do is I can check to see if what they typed in was 42. So I can go to variables. I can get a meaning of life value block that contains their answer, right, from this previous question. And I can check to see if it was 42. So if it's 42, then that's the right answer. So then I could put some code inside of here to be like, yo, you got it right. You know, high five, heart spilling out of my Sprite, you know, that kind of stuff. And the else is where you would put some sort of like, you know, sad result, you know, like, oh, you suck or something, you know, mean maybe. I'll show you the actual code I have. Whoa, it just showed up. Magic. So like if the answer is 42, oh, it says answer 1. I'll change that to meaning of life. Then it plays a happy sound, and I start shooting hearts, and I increase the score, and I get them to say, you're right. Otherwise, if they're wrong, I play a sad sound, and I say that's not right, and they don't get a score. So hopefully that's kind of making sense on how that works. Those are the basics of the project. I hope you are going to be able to make a quiz project. Check the website for the criteria document, and you'll be making several sort of questions as you go, and there's some information on how to get and extending some extra challenge activities for you to try. All right, thanks everybody.